Nostalgically sad is my line from the episode, and that was Mary talking about looking back on her relationship with Cody, and I just really liked that term. I've never heard that term before, nostalgically sad, and I just really thought it was very poignant for Mary's story within Sister Wives. So this is episode 7, and this is really looking back on all their weddings. So it starts, Mary's with her friend Jen, and she gets out all her old wedding stuff, her old wedding dress, invitations, and then finds an old love letter from Cody to her talking about how much he loves her. And then it goes to all the other wives and they reflect on their wedding, apart from Janelle. It went to all the others and they're talking about what they had to wear because of their church and how they felt about their wedding day in general. Cody and Robin's story throughout this whole episode is them learning to dance together. I'm not even joking. I don't know why this was in the series. I don't really get it. But it starts off, they're having a dinner together and he says he loves going dancing. And Robin says, well, you don't dance with me. I'm like an accessory. And he says, okay, well, we're going to go out dancing together. And she says, okay, if we have dance lessons. So then skip to a little bit more and they're having dance lessons. There's this male and female teacher trying to teach them how to dance together. That's their whole thing in this episode. And this is quite a serious episode and it's just all about their learning to dance. So let's stick with the other wives. I'm not really going to mention back much with Cody and Robin because their storyline in this episode was just quite pointless to me, to be perfectly honest with you. This is episode 7. So episode 7, season 20. So I thought it was really interesting, Mary talking about all the different things that she had to do because of Mormonism and to do with how their wedding ceremonies are. One thing that I always find so strange about all of this, and I understand it's because they all went to the same church, is how their families are so interconnected. So I didn't know this, that Mary's brother married Janelle. They were married for a year. They then got divorced and then Janelle married Mary's husband, Cody. And that's how Mary and Janelle became sister wives. And how they met is because Janelle had married Mary's brother. And then one of Mary's sisters is married to one of Cody's brothers. And then Janelle's mother married Cody's dad. So Janelle's mother married her daughter's father-in-law. Like, they're so connected, such a web they weave with it all. But when Janelle came into the family, Janelle's mother had a wedding ring that Janelle's father had given to her. And she decided that instead of giving this wedding ring just straight to Janelle when Janelle married Cody, that she would include Mary within that situation as well. So the diamond was split between 3 rings, one for Cody, one for Mary, one for Janelle. And Mary was saying, like, I really appreciate her doing that and what a beautiful gesture that was. And I thought that was so nice. Everything I hear about Janelle's mum, she sounds like such a lovely woman. And that was just so nice that she did that. And then Mary said, I need to give this back to Janelle because it's the diamond that's from Janelle's mother's wedding ring, and Mary obviously is no longer with Cody. And I think that's so nice that we returned back to Janelle. It would be nice if Cody also gave Janelle all 3. If she had all 3 rings, would be a really nice thing for them all. So that's Mary's storyline, just very nostalgic, looking back over the years of where did it really go wrong. And he had said to her that he never loved her, and she's saying that's not true. Look at these love letters. And then she gets a whole box out full of letters that Cody has written to her over the years. And he's obviously said in these letters how much he loves her. And we've already had read to us this episode, Jen reading a love note from Cody. I love you so much, Mary, talking about how much he loves her and we just need to endure. We're going through a difficult time, but let's endure together and everything will be okay. And just know, no matter how bad the storm gets, we have love for each other and that will see us through everything in our lives. And obviously that's not what happened. So it's very sad. And that's when Mary says the term, this whole thing is nostalgically sad to me, looking through these boxes. I did find it fascinating to do with the wedding ring. So Mary gave Cody a wedding ring when they got married. And when Cody had married Janelle and Christine, he then decided to destroy the wedding ring. So he said, I didn't want Mary to have any kind of claim of me. I'm guessing the other women hadn't bought him wedding rings, so instead of him having 3 separate wedding rings, he just wanted one ring that would signify we're a family together. And so Mary wanted the ring that she had given him. She just wanted to keep it herself. And I think he should have given her the ring. I think that was so cruel. He melted the ring down and made part of it into jewellery for her. So it's like a pendant necklace. And then the other went to make children's jewellery. But they didn't say what children got the jewellery from the wedding ring. And she just said, like, I really wanted that ring, but he wouldn't let me have it because he didn't want me to claim him. And then it cut to Cody and they asked him about it, and he said, yeah, Mary always wanted more. She was so insecure. She always wanted more from me. And so I didn't want us to have this connection through this ring. So that's why I melted it down. I feel like, is that not when the whole thing, that's before Robin? And that feels like a severing of a tie, like a wedding ring, such a special signifying thing for him to say, well, I don't want you to have a claim on me. I melt it down. And he said those words to her at the time. So maybe long before Robin was on the scene, they were on very shaky ground, it seems, because him melting it down, it just feels like such a significant thing to get rid of. It just seems very bizarre to me. Christine in this episode is talking to David, and they're talking about polygamy. David's two sisters actually went into polygamy and it destroyed them. He describes it as they were deeply damaged from the experience, and he does not agree with polygamy at all, David. It was so interesting getting his point of view on it. Janelle's daughter is having a baby. So Maddie's having a baby, and the fascinating thing about that is Cody doesn't know Maddie's pregnant and has not spoken to Maddie in 3 years, which seemed insane to me. But they must have all seen each other at Garrison's funeral and maybe not spoken to each other, maybe because, it was the grief. They weren't, talking to one another. I just found that mad. 3 years he hasn't spoken to her. So that obviously means he hasn't seen his grandchildren for 3 years. Such a huge amount of time to just not see them. I thought it maybe been a year since he had talked to them, or he only talked to them via email, via quite like a formal communication. I didn't know there'd been no communication for 3 years. That just seemed insane to me. But back to Christine and David, I wrote down what he said. He said he hates polygamy, and he thinks it's because the men have ego and control, and that's the point of polygamy to the men. And he said, I've heard men say that the reason they like to have multiple wives is because the women compete for their attention, because they're so starved and desperate for love that the women will compete amongst themselves, and so that bigs the man's ego up, and he really enjoys watching his wives compete. Ugh, disgusting. I'm with David. I'm with all David's opinions on polygamy 100%. And I know others, I think Janelle and Christine still kind of believe polygamy can work. It just was Cody that was the problem, not actually the structure of polygamy. I think Mary probably believes that as well. But I'm with David. It's all about ego and control from the men, and that is what's wrong with it. And that competing, they actually kind of like that and get off on that. So that's it. That's the whole thing. I don't have anything else. Christine made an interesting point about she needed to read fiction when she was with Cody because her day-to-day life was so depressing and so difficult and so stifling that reading fiction books gave her an escape into a different world. And so I thought that was really interesting how she was talking about that, because her and David were just talking about different books and how Christine always used to read to her children and really connected with them through that. And then he said, you always read fiction. And she said, I had to read fiction. It was a way of coping for me, was to read fiction. And I don't have that within my own life, but my whole channel is basically reading. I do a lot of book reviews. And so, I think people, books can be that escapism. If you're going through something, they can really help you out. And with her, it was like a lifeline. So I thought it was so interesting, everything she said about that, because it's not an experience I have. Like I like my life. I'm not a sister wife. I'm not a sister wife living in Utah, wondering when my husband's going to come around to my house because he's spending all his time with the younger wife. That's not my reality. So I thought it was interesting how that's her reality, and books helped her escape that. That's all. I don't have anything else to say on this episode, to be honest with you. I thought it was interesting, David's point of view on polygamy. He's a man and he's seen what he's done to his sisters, and he said, he used the word damaged. They are damaged because of that experience of being in polygamy. And I'm just Team David. I agree with everything David says. I really like him in the show. I really like him a lot. So I'm going to end it here. I do a lot of book reviews, vlogs. It's Christmas time. So the vlogs are very Christmassy, if you like that kind of thing. I have like 50 million crafts and hobbies that I show on my channel. So I'm going to end this video here, and I will see you again soon for another one.